I really highly recommend you get underinsured and uninsured motorists on your policy for both medical and property damage.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Airing of Grievances. My name is Reamer. That's Robert Grieve, and we've got a good one for you today. Stick around all the way to the end. You'll find something of value, I am 100% sure. And as always, it's always nice to have you with us here on a Saturday morning or whenever you're watching. We are grateful for that.
Amen.
If you like what you see, go ahead, click the thumbs up. That costs nothing, but it tells YouTube that this is content that's worthy of sharing.
Helps me, and I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. And if you haven't yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? We'd love to have you notified every time we launch new content, including this week's short has gone through the roof.
Really?
Yes, sir. You can take a look at that after this video. All right, Rob, happy Saturday to you.
Happy Saturday to you. My dear friends, thanks for tuning in and spending some time with us. Again, this is a consumer-focused video series, and I like to bring tales from the crypt. I mean, stuff that really happens so that you can understand and learn from other people's experiences.
All right, okay. Well, whose experience are we going to learn from today?
Well, we've got a cool little story for you today. People will drive all over the country or fly to another place in the country to purchase a car because that's the car they want.
Yes.
Or that's the deal on the car that they want.
Sure.
And then drive it back home. This happens all the time.
Yes, sir.
And people, they don't really just buy a car. They look for the car that they want.
You bet.
Whether it be, we've got kids and soccer and all the rest of this. We need something a little bit bigger. We need something four-wheel drive. We need something,
Or in my case, I want a Dodge Charger.
Yeah.
And it needs to be black, all-wheel drive.
So people are pretty specific about what they get.
You bet.
And we're going to talk about a special car here.
Okay.
It's out of the norm, but it's a story for all of us. And so what we have is a red Acura. Now, this is a 4-stage candy red.
That's the paint.
Yeah, and it's a limited edition car. We'll get into that in a second. And I mean, you can see in this picture it's a little damaged in the back, but let's take a closer look at that.
Little damage is a little understated.
Yes. He has owned this vehicle at this point for less than a week.
Oh, no.
And somebody made a boo-boo and wrecked his car.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So it's an A-spec, which is
Top of
a
the line.
very special
Yeah.
Acura.
Mm-hmm.
And what makes this vehicle even more special is it's numbered.
Oh, there were only 360 made.
360, and this is 256 of the 360 made.
Wow.
So this car is special, and he wanted this car, and he went across the country to get this car, to drive it back, and less than a week, somebody hit him.
Oh.
And this story's got a lot of arms and legs to it, but the person that hit him didn't have enough insurance to cover the damage. So I'm going to pause here in the story to say I really highly recommend you get underinsured and uninsured motorists on your policy for both medical and property damage.
Yes.
There's two different coverages.
Right.
And I was listening to a legal show on the radio. In Colorado, you have almost a 30%, between 25 and 30% chance of being hit by somebody with no insurance.
Oh, my.
Or not enough insurance.
Yeah.
So that and there's a lot of advantages to using the underinsured, non-insured
Yes.
part of your policy rather than it going through your own collision coverage on your policy.
You know, I just had an opportunity to speak to my insurance agent yesterday, and we went over uninsured and underinsured. But I don't know that we had a conversation about whether that was medical or property.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe that's something I need to check out.
We all do.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I have it, so
It's good advice.
and it's good to get the higher limits. It's not that expensive to add it. I know insurance is through the roof today. It's one of the highest inflationary items that there is out there.
Yeah.
But I was speaking to a gentleman this morning that got hit by somebody that landed up being uninsured. They didn't make the premium payment on their policy, and so now that company's off the hook. I said, okay, you need to go through your non-insured part of your policy. He says,
Don't have
I opted not to have it.
Oh,
So now it's going to go through its collision, and because it's going to go through its collision, his rates are going to go up.
yep.
So there is that. Anyway, he left the vehicle with us. We wrote up a very thorough repair plan on it, documented. This is such a special paint that it's not even in the paint system. You have to call somebody special to get the formula to even paint this vehicle. It is a restricted color.
Okay.
And so we did all the homework on it. And the insurance company came down, I believe, twice or maybe even 3 times,
All right.
and left this guest with a $6,000 out-of-pocket expense for us to fix the vehicle. Now, that's outrageous.
I agree.
That's outrageous. But to fix it right, that's what it was going to take. And he didn't have that, or he didn't want to spend it, and I don't blame him one little bit.
Sure.
And so what are the options? He took it to one of the insurance company's preferred body shops.
We have several videos that talk about why that's such a bad idea. But just in case you're wondering, I'll put a link down in the description box to several of them so that you can see what's really going on over there.
You think that body shops are all the same. And if the insurance company endorses the shop, it's got to be a good shop.
It's good for them.
Which we've had several videos in the last couple of weeks that would call that into question, let's
Yes.
say, of who's got your interest at heart.
Right.
But one of the advantages to taking it to one of their shops is they can't charge you anything more than what the insurance company will pay. Unless you have a deductible, then you owe a deductible. So off the vehicle went to Brand X, a insurance company preferred partner.
Okay.
And I don't know, a few months later, he calls me and he says, they finished the car and I'm supposed to pick it up. I want to pick it up and drive it right to you and drop it off and have you just double check it.
That happens a lot.
It does happen a lot. And so here's the vehicle repaired.
Okay.
Looks very nice.
It's a very nice looking vehicle.
I'm like, oh, good. Looks like they did a pretty decent job. He says, I want you to look at it closely and make sure that it's good to go. I said, sure. So, without doing anything, just walking around the car, there's a run in the paint.
Yep.
And that's not good. That's not good.
Your gift for understatement is in full force.
Because this run actually is under the clear, so you can't just sand the clear and get the run out because it's underneath that. This needs to be repainted now. And then throughout the paint job, you can see debris in the paint.
Yep.
All right, and there's always going to be debris in the paint, but you don't leave it there.
Right.
We do things like color, sand, and polish, where we actually sand it with the most finest sandpaper and then heat it up and polish it with a polisher, and it's gone.
Right.
No body shop has the ability not to have a little bit of dirt in the paint simply because we're not in a
Sterile.
manufacturer, sterile assembly plant type of setting.
Right.
And even though the booths that I have back there, there's $250,000 sitting there, you're still going to get little spots like this, but you take care of it.
Right.
You don't deliver it to the guest like this.
Yeah, I was going to say, you take care of it before delivery.
Before delivery.
Yeah.
So I opened up the trunk because this thing had a quarter panel replaced. Took the floor mat up a little bit. That's where like your spare tire would be. So it's easily accessible. No disassembly or anything like that is needed. And here I find bare welds.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So it's welded, but there's no corrosion protection, no primer, and no paint, and that is going to rust.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. Then in this picture, you can see up here, the wiring harness is not clipped and attached to where it should be. No big deal. That can just get reattached. But over here, they didn't put the seam sealer back.
Yeah, that cut is exposed.
And that should all, look like what it looks like in front of it, but it's all chipped away and gone instead of being replaced.
Yep.
These may not be big things to you, but if you're somebody that wants to buy this car, this numbered car,
256 out of
whatever it is, 300 something, then that could be a deal killer right there.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, it's going to bring the value of the vehicle down, and the person wanting to buy it is going to pay less for it.
Sure.
And not because you, the owner, did anything wrong. It's the shop.
Right.
And keep in mind the insurance company recommends this shop. So then I decided to take a seal off that's around the door opening so that I could check the welds. And here's the first one that pops up.
Oh.
That is a huge problem.
Yeah.
That is a huge problem. That weld is basically worthless. And you can see the metal is broken around it. It's not helping anything. And we're getting into safety concerns now.
Yep.
Here's another weld. You can see that it's burned through. There was too much heat, and it's basically burned the inner piece of the metal so that it's kind of useless.
Wow.
So what else I want to show you in this picture is look at these three pieces of metal coming together.
Yeah.
And how nicely that they're all like sandwiched together. That's the way they're supposed to be. In this shot,
oh, Rob, that's Frankenstein.
In this shot, they're not so much. And there's another big weld that it got too hot, and it's not holding anything, and there's no penetration, if you will. So when you weld, you're supposed to weld all three pieces. You fuse them together,
Right.
so that they can't come apart. Well, that's already apart, and there's a weld there. It's not holding anything. So right next to that, you see your door latch.
Yes.
So if something were to hit the side of the car again there, this is all weakened and could have something intrude into the passenger compartment.
Wow.
Because the welds are no good. This is aesthetics. But what you're seeing here, and let's show it like this and then put a circle around it. What you're seeing here is where they ended the paint inside the door jamb. And again, somebody coming to buy this vehicle,
they're going to see
from
that
him
right away.
That's open up the driver's door, and that's what you see.
Ugh.
And then above that, you see the same thing going across the top.
Yep.
That's not the way it's supposed to look. And it's going to fail at some point.
Sure.
Start chipping back, if you will. I want to show just a quick 15-second vid of us painting the whole entire jamb.
Not of this car.
Not of this car. It's a different car that we have in here, but that's the way we do it all the time. If we have to put a quarter panel on or repair a quarter panel, we're not going to leave any paint lines in the jamb, or what this would be considered an open burn blend, which, again, no paint manufacturer recommends. and there is no warranty from the paint manufacturer on these things. And you, the consumer, have lost a lot of value in the vehicle because it looks like that.
Wow.
And as you can see in our video, we're painting that whole jam so that there's no lines, there's no burn blends, and if somebody opens up the door, they're going to see what they should see.
Right.
It's fully painted. But this insurance company doesn't think that that's necessary. They felt as though you just do an open burn blend and that'll be fine, so send it to our shop and they'll do that, and that's what you get. So in this picture, this is the windshield pillar. So you can see your glass there. It's a little dirty.
Yeah.
And then there's a molding.
Yep.
And then there's your windshield pillar that you can see. You can actually see the mirror of the front door right there.
Yes, sir.
Well, there's no paint. There's only color on the inside of that. They didn't clear it.
Oh, my.
You see how dull that is on the inside?
I do.
And that's something you can just walk up to the car and see. That should be clear and shiny like the rest of it is.
Sure.
But as they're spraying, they should have gone
On
like
the
this,
inside, yeah.
and then completed doing the outside. But again, there's no UV protection there. That's going to deteriorate. So that's another problem. Now, before we get to this picture, we had said that we're going to put a brand new Acura door on it.
When we quoted
it.
Okay.
To save money, the insurer said, put a used door on it. That's fine. Out of the junkyard.
Out of the junkyard on a car that is number 256 out of 300 and some.
Exactly. So they put a used door on this vehicle. How can you tell? You couldn't tell in that picture of the completed job. But if you look at this picture, they masked off the VIN label.
Unbelievable.
Of the VIN from another vehicle, and then just painted over the tape.
Ugh.
Again, all you have to do is open up the door and you can see it right there.
Yeah.
So none of this is what I would consider pre-loss. None of this is pre-loss.
Well, let me stop you right there, because you say none of this is pre-loss, and the end of that phrase is pre-loss condition.
Yeah.
That's an insurance term that in your insurance policy, they are bound to restore your vehicle to pre-loss condition.
Yes.
And that's what that is not.
Yes.
Got it.
And so this last picture here is the rear door, the used door, if you will. And you'll see that the paint is all chipped off around the latch.
Yeah, I sure do.
That's because it's not closing properly. And it's hitting that striker that you saw in one of those other pictures. And the striker is
damaging the car again.
Taking the paint off the car because the door is not lined up properly. And so when you go to open a door, it opens and it pops a little bit. And then you close it. It doesn't really close all the way, so you slam it a little harder. And every time, it's taking the paint off the inside of the door.
Unbelievable.
He has been back to this shop to fix these items. I think he's on his third time, and it's a little over a year, and I don't believe the car is completely finished.
Wow.
Quite yet. And in my opinion, the vehicle's ruined.
Oh, my
because
gosh.
of all this stuff. Now that the shop went in and attempted to fix all these things, but that's more layers of paint. And if somebody coming to buy a car, a lot of people, and even just regular cars, not just numbered cars, will bring a mill gauge or have somebody bring a mill gauge, and a mill gauge checks the thickness of the paint.
Right.
And so you can see on the quarter, it's X. If it has to be repainted, it will show you that, oh, this has been repainted once, maybe twice.
Right.
And the more mills, the less durable the paint becomes, because there's constantly expanding and contracting. And the bigger the film build,
Yep.
The metal and the paint kind of expand and contract together.
Sure.
Until you put too much on, and then it can start to crack and peel and so on and so forth. I've never heard of an insurance company checking on a shop like looking at the repairs that they're doing and doing any quality assurance or anything like that. That's not the parameters to get on these programs.
No.
It's more about other items that we've talked about in other videos, and this guy went through a horrible experience. The insurer certainly did not indemnify him and make him whole. They actually ruined the car, and these are things that you need to know and figure out ways, and we help our guests through this all the time.
Yep.
Insurance company, the rates have gone through the roof, as we all know. Mine as well. I'm sure yours as well. Even with no claims and all the rest of that, they're still up 20 to 40%, depending on many different things.
I've heard even as high as 50%.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what you're getting for that is less and less and less.
Right.
And sometimes it's time to push back on them and remind them that you are the consumer.
Absolutely.
And you have a contract, and they have duties in that contract.
Yeah.
And you expect those duties to be upheld. And they're not the boss.
Right.
They are the ones that have to fulfill the contract. So I just thought I would share this story with you. It's a horrible one.
Yeah.
For this particular guest. But that's what I got for today.
Well, as always, grateful for your time and storytelling ability. And, again, should you have any questions about this or any other story that we tell, there's 188 of them now.
Yep.
Give us a call. Here's our phone number right here. And you can reach out to us anytime. If we don't have the answer, we'll send you to somebody who does. All right? Rob, thank you so much. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday to you. Happy Saturday to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Glad you're here with us, and we'll see you next week. God bless.